In Boston, a 25-foot wave races down the street at 35 miles per hour. It is not water, it is molasses. It moves like a wall. It lifts wagons, snaps beams, and swallows people before they understand what is happening. And the worst part is this. People had heard the tank groan for months. To understand how a dessert ingredient became a disaster, we have to rewind to Boston's North End. It is 1919. The war has just ended. The waterfront is loud, crowded, and hungry for industry. The Purity Distilling Company stores molasses here because molasses is money. It can be turned into alcohol, and alcohol can be turned into profit. So the company builds a tank big enough to hold more than 2 million gallons. But speed is cheaper than safety. The tank is rushed into service almost as soon as it is finished. A proper water test would have filled it first, slowly, to see if it could hold. But that would take time. And time is the one thing the company does not want to spend. Soon, the neighbors notice something wrong. The tank leaks. Molasses oozes down the metal sides, sticky and dark, like the tank is sweating. Children scrape it off with sticks. Adults joke about the sweet smell hanging over the street. Inside the metal, pressure builds. Outside, the warning signs are treated like decoration. The tank also makes sounds. Deep rumbles, sharp knocks, a metal body complaining under stress. Workers report the leaks. The company does not rebuild the tank. Instead, they paint the tank brown so the molasses stains are harder to see. That is the moment this stops being bad luck and starts becoming a choice. Then January 15th arrives warm for winter. The molasses inside the tank thins, expands, and shifts. A fresh shipment has just been pumped in. The tank is nearly full. Around lunchtime, the North End hears a sound like a machine gun. Rivets tear loose. Steel plates peel apart. The tank opens. More than 2 million gallons of molasses explode into the street. The first wave is estimated at 25 feet high. It hits with enough force to knock buildings from their foundations. A firehouse is crushed. An elevated railway support bends. Horses and carts vanish in seconds. People try to run, but molasses is not like water. It is heavy, it is sticky, and in the cold air it gets thicker with every second. A person who falls does not simply get wet, they get pinned. Rescuers arrive and discover they can barely move through it themselves. Every step pulls at their boots. Every rescue takes longer than it should. By the end, 21 people are dead and about 150 are injured. The neighborhood is coated. Streets, basements, animals, clothing, doorways, everything sticks. Boston smells sweet for weeks, but nothing about it is sweet anymore. Then comes the second wave. Not molasses. Blame. The company claims the tank was sabotaged. They say outsiders must have destroyed it, but investigators keep coming back to the same ugly facts. The tank leaked. The tank groaned. The tank had been warned about before it failed. For years, the court case drags on. Families wait while experts argue over metal, pressure, and responsibility. Finally, the ruling lands against the company. The disaster becomes a warning. If a company builds something dangerous, it cannot just hope the public survives it. After the flood, construction standards and inspections grow stricter. The dead force the living to measure twice. That is the part history likes to hide. Safety rules are often written after someone was not protected. So remember the tank, remember the leaks, remember the paint that covered the warning instead of fixing it. The wave that hit Boston was not natural. It was built, filled, ignored, and finally released. And more than a century later, the lesson is still sticky. I'm Wisp. If this story stayed with you, subscribe, and I'll keep telling the strange true stories history tried to bury.